On Friday's preview, I started by talking about the accolades of Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic and why this fight at UFC 309 was such a monumental legacy fight for the UFC and for the sport of mixed martial arts. And here we are now in the recap, and Jon Jones has now fought in 17 consecutive UFC championship bouts with victories in 16 of them, and he now adds another former champion to his resume. 9 total former UFC champions are now victims of Jon Bones Jones, the greatest mixed martial artist to ever grace the octagon. Jon Jones is now improved to 28 victories with only one loss to his name, and that one loss, we all know the story behind it, the 12-6 elbows to Matt Hamill. So 29-0, but let's not look into that too much. Jon Jones has done it again with a finish in the third round via spinning back kick to the body, followed up by just a couple of punches before the referee, Herb Dean, stepped in to halt the action. That results in Jon Jones retaining his undisputed heavyweight championship of the world in the UFC that he won in a vacant title spot against Ciryl Gane last March at UFC 285, and he has now made his first successful defense here against former two-time UFC heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic. What a fight this was for Jon Jones. We didn't get to see much of him in that Ciryl Gane bout in 2023. It lasted 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Yeah, it was exciting to see Jon finally make the move to heavyweight that he had talked about for years, but we didn't get to see how he would handle maybe getting punched by someone that is bigger than him, a true heavyweight like Ciryl Gane, because Ciryl did not do anything in that brief 124-second bout. But here, Stipe Miocic, yes, had not fought since March of 2021, yes, 42 years old, yes, not in his prime any longer, but Stipe did land some decent shots on Jon, and Jon handled them very well and systematically picked Stipe apart from round 1 to round 3 when he gets the finish 4 minutes and 29 seconds in before heading in to those championship rounds. Jon's best work in this fight was two things. It was his jab that was piecing up Stipe and really setting up all of the other head strikes for Jon Jones. And second was the body work of Jon Jones. And it wasn't with punches, it was with teep kicks directly to the sternum. And obviously that paid dividends because in that third round, the spinning back kick to the body was one of the most perfectly executed kicks that you will ever see. It sent Stipe down to the mat immediately. Jon Jones, at 37 years old, continues to show things that we've never seen him do before. That is unbelievable. The fact that he can still evolve and show things that we have not seen before, making him even more dangerous for his opponents because you can only game plan so much against someone like Jon Bones Jones. What an incredible performance. What an incredible victory. Many people thought this was going to be the result, but man, did he look very, very good. And now we must talk about what is next. It's the biggest discussion going in mixed martial arts. But before we get into what's next for Jon Jones, I do just want to tip my cap to Stipe Miocic. Again, a former two-time UFC heavyweight champion, 6 title fight victories, the most all-time, 4 successful title defenses, 3 in his first reign, 1 in his second reign, also the most title defenses of all time. Truly the greatest heavyweight to ever grace the UFC octagon. Debuted back at UFC 136 in 2011. He has called it a career at 42 years old after his loss to Jon Jones at UFC 309. Back there on the wall, you see the UFC 203 poster. Me and my best friends went to Cleveland back in the day to watch Stipe defend his heavyweight title for the very first time against Alistair Overeem. He would then go on to defend it twice more before losing it to Daniel Cormier, starting their legendary trilogy that Stipe would ultimately get the best of. It is a legacy that will go down in the books. He will be a UFC Hall of Famer, and what a guy he is. The fact that he's a full-time firefighter and doing this on the side essentially just speaks to the man that he is, the family man that he has shown to be over the years as well. A great ambassador for the sport. sport, but at the same time was never big on the antics and the drama. He was straightforward, all business, wanted to show up, wanted to fight, and then wanted to go home and make some burgers on the grill. Me and my friends even had the pleasure of meeting Stipe Miocic back in March of 2022. A great guy, allowed everyone to have good time with him, speak to him as we got to have pictures and autographs and such. So a great guy, means a lot to me as an Ohio fella to support Ohio fighters. There are only so many of those going, and obviously Stipe is the most a credentialed fighter that we've ever seen come out of this state here in the Midwest. So we love Stipe Miocic here, and my hat is off to him. A great man, a great fighter, a great legacy. Go enjoy your retirement, Stipe. You deserve it. Thank you for the memories. But now, Jon Jones, what is next for him? It seems that there's pretty much two options, but boy, oh boy, do these two options just divide the community. Maybe there even isn't that much of a divide. It divides Jon Jones and the UFC. I don't know, it seems divisive, doesn't it? Jon Jones made it clear in the build-up to UFC 309 that he has no interest in facing Tom Aspinall, who is the current sitting interim champion in this heavyweight division. Not only is he the interim champion after knocking out Sergey Pavlovich on short notice last November, he has defended his interim championship this July against Curtis Blades with a first-round knockout as well. Crazy that someone who's not only an interim champion but has defended an interim championship may not be next for the undisputed champion. Now, is it all truly just negotiation tactics for Jon? I'm starting to lean a little bit heavier onto that side. However, he did double down again in the post-fight press conference saying he does not want to fight Tom Aspinall. He wants Alex Pereira, or he will hang it up and call it sayonara. But he's saying the exact opposite of what UFC President Dana White is saying, because in the post-fight press conference for him, he said he actually, after this fight with Jon and Stipe, has little to no interest in doing Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira, which of course would be a monumental fight. Don't get it twisted. Alex Pereira, a 2-weight world champion in the UFC, could have the opportunity to become a 3-weight world champion, something we've never seen before in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Jon Jones obviously is long credentialed in the light heavyweight division, all of those title defenses and records there. Now a heavyweight champion with a title defense over the greatest of all time. That would be a huge fight, but Dana White has said after this, Jon Jones just would be a little bit too big. He does not think it would be that great of a fight. Pair the size with the wrestling and grappling advantages of Jon Jones. He doesn't see that as a good opportunity for Alex Pereira. And wow, Dana White being very transparent there with that answer in the press conference, which is a little bit surprising, but also I respect being open about it as well. He did, however, leave the door cracked open. He said, if they hound me enough and bother me enough about making Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira, then maybe we will just make that fight happen. But he wants to see Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones, and thank goodness the president of the UFC himself has said as such, because that is what all of us here, hardcore fans, at least in the community, want to see. For me, it is the past and present that is Jon Jones, the greatest fighter of all time, a 2-weight world champion, 16 title fight victories, all of the records, all of the accolades, versus the rising up-and-comer, the future of the sport, the future of the heavyweight division that is Tom Aspinall, that has wiped the division nearly clean, won an interim title on short notice, and defended an interim title in less than 1 minute. Dana White said this would even be the biggest heavyweight fight in UFC history, bigger than Brock Lesnar fights from way back in the day. He must have some pretty good knowledge on the back end of just how big the pulse is for Tom Aspinall on a global, international level. Of course, having champions from England has been very good for the UFC in the past, with Michael Bisping, with Leon Edwards, now with Tom Aspinall. I mean, did you guys hear the pre-fight press conference on Thursday of last week? When they talked about Tom Aspinall, that crowd went bananas, shouting his name over and over again. Dana White couldn't even continue to talk until the crowd quieted down. this really does feel like an absolutely historic heavyweight championship fight. But if you're Jon Jones, what a good problem to have that your two options are two of the biggest fights that the UFC could possibly put on in 2025. You're either fighting the man everyone wants you to fight in Tom Aspinall, who has all of this momentum behind him, all of the fans, the interim championship, the title fight unification, or you have a two-weight world champion, Alex Pereira, who is the biggest active star in the company right now, the face of the organization. Jon Jones, love the guy, hate the guy, he gets what he wants. Selfishly, I need to see Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones. It is only right. Not only is it the right thing to do in terms of the rankings, the championship, the true competitiveness of the sport, but it is also just a massive fight as well. It truly checks every single box that I can think of. Will I be upset if tomorrow morning the UFC says, Alex Pereira, Jon Jones, International Fight Week 2025? Of course not. That would be absolutely insanity if that fight were to be booked. But my peak interest is Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones. That is the fight that I want to see over anything else in mixed martial arts right now. And hopefully, just hopefully, we will get it in 2025. So please let me know in the comments below, what do you think will be next? Well, I guess first off, what did you think of this performance from Jon Jones? Yes, Stipe is older now at 42, hasn't fought in a while, but to still do what Jon did, to pick apart Stipe like no one's ever really done before, and then get a finish to top it off is very, very impressive, and I have to give credit where it is due. Jon Jones is the greatest fighter of all time. What did you make of his re-entry back into this heavyweight division, this victory over Stipe Miocic, and more importantly, what do you want to see next for Jon Jones? Do you want to see him face Alex Pereira? Do you want to see him face Tom Aspinall? Or do you want to see him call it a career and ride off into the sunset? If you enjoyed this recap, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, because every single week I recap the most meaningful results from every single card. I break down the biggest storylines and what is at stake heading into each card, and I give my thoughts and opinions on MMA news and fight announcements. You can join the community on social media at Verbal Spar MMA on X, Instagram, and TikTok, and you can follow along on your favorite audio listening platform such as Spotify and Apple, where every Friday and Monday podcast episodes released there. Have a great week, and I will see you in the next video.